am?
I mean, I try.
Yeah. Luke decided he didn't want to be perceived and he left us.
He was walking towards you. He's still there.
There he is.
Avoid. It's avoid.
There's a baby.
That's probably the most we'll see of him.
At least we did see him.
His existence has been proven.
Oh my gosh. So we're live now. Have we ever done like a good beginning to a live show?
No, I feel like our live show. Look, I'm fine with it being just chaos and mayhem.
Yes. All right, everybody. Welcome to the November Stitch and Bitch. We should have been on Kelsey's channel this month, but due to real life happenings, we are on mine, just to avoid any interruptions. And yeah, let's get into it. We apparently have a lot of stuff to talk about. Maybe not as much crafting this month, but Dai is bursting with things to tell us about.
Me too, actually.
And Rhea, I expect some update on romancing Asterion, by the way.
Oh. Do I ever?
Yeah,
do I ever? I also have updates on.
Last night I was like, oh, we're gonna be talking about this tomorrow.
I also have updates on my continued hatred of Gale, so that is also a thing. Think that is.
All right. Before we descend into utter chaos, so let's go around and quickly introduce ourselves. And when we're introducing ourselves, if you have a craft, please talk about it. I'll go first really quickly. I'm Rachel. This is my channel, Kalanati. I read books and sometimes I talk about them, but I'm not regularly booktubing anymore. I'm just here on the live shows. And when I'm not doing all the fiber arts, I'm reading. I'm kind of flip-flopped right now. But yeah, fantasy, science fiction, nonfiction, and I'm collecting all of the fiber arts. So those pop up here and there. And that's pretty much it for me. I do have knitting here, but I don't know if I'm going to get any of it worked on today, so I'm not going to talk about it. Rhea.
So hey, I'm Rhea. I'm also booktube hiatusing right now. Let's see how long that will last. So you will mostly find me on these live shows, possibly in the future also on other live shows on my channel, because that just seems to be the most stress-free way to make content. Anyway, I usually talk about manga, science fiction, fantasy, all of that jazz. And currently, I'm not working on a specific craft, so I'm just going to be bitching and talking about Baldur's Gate 3, most likely, the entirety of this thing, and also some K-drama. So yeah, that's me.
Mm-hmm. Kelsey.
I am Kelsey. My booktube channel is The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I discuss almost exclusively SFF. As Rachel mentioned, we should have rotation-wise been on my channel this month, but that is not happening because I'm in the middle of a bit of an ongoing crisis and I might need to be called away if the phone rings. For those of you who know my cat Jammy, she is in the hospital, and that's all I want to say about it right now. So I'm like not on top of any of the things that I would normally be on top of in terms of making content and doing crafts, but I did want to show you guys the lace that I bought after our discussion last time. I'm not working on this project yet. Oh gosh, the light here is terrible. I'm gonna get a light. I've got a light here to shine
I want to see this.
On this, just to show the color. Oh, that's purple because the last video I filmed was my Halloween video. Sorry.
Is it the right shade of burgundy? Because I think that's what you were concerned
So
with.
it is darker than the rest of the skirt, but the color is like a good enough tone that it's really complementary instead of clashing,
Mhm.
and that's the main thing. So
It is very pretty. I love that color.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
looks really good.
Extremely pretty. The Etsy shop in question would only let me buy 5 yards of it in one purchase. Ideally, I think I would have wanted 6 to have some extra, but I think 5 will be enough. So yeah, I'm not working on this sewing project right now, but I did want to share this update. Like ostensibly the craft, I'm gonna put the light back away. The craft that I could be working on right now is sketching for my Christmas card. Like that's what I brought a little sketch pad so that I could work on that during the stream if I wanted to, because every year I think I'm gonna get my like painting for my Christmas card done before Thanksgiving, and last year it just didn't happen at all, and I didn't do a Christmas card. But this year I do want to get it done, but I might not make progress on that because I want to use like reference images, and they're going to be small on my phone, and you all are on my computer screen.
You don't need to see us.
Emotionally, I need to see you right now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna sit here since Hermes is so kindly propped himself in a little cinnamon roll.
Aw.
Oh,
You can't see him, but he's there.
I see him blinking.
Yes.
He's just a void with eyes opening sometimes.
Yes, well, he has a little, like, white tuft.
Yeah, I know.
You
but I
really
can-
can't. He disappears into the background usually.
Mhm. All right, Di.
Hi, my name's Diana. My channel is Bookish Di. I mostly read science fiction and fantasy, but lately I've been in a nonfiction kick, and I've also been on a bit of an unintentional booktube hiatus. I have like a video I need to edit, but I just haven't been up to filming for a variety of reasons. And I finished my mosaic. I don't have it with me because I'm not at home, as you can tell, but I finished the shawl that I had been working off and on for the last year. So I'm working on a new shawl.
Is this brand new?
It is brand new. I started it last month at a conference.
You've got so much done.
Yeah, this one actually has been going really quickly because it's just like garter stitch, yarn overs, some knit togethers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty fast knit.
Is that broomstick lace, or what is the really lacy open bit?
It's just like knit togethers and yarn overs.
Oh. No, the one below.
I'll send you guys a photo.
Yeah.
Below it's just double yarn over and dropping it.
Oh, okay. So it's elongated stitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
So,
Yeah, it does.
yeah. But yeah, it's just I'm probably gonna end up finishing it like within the next week or so. Because like I said, it's a pretty fast knit.
Cool. I wish I could finish something in the next week or so. I started too many crafts, and then I got a drum parter, so
I still have my jumper that I was going to finish for New Zealand. It's not getting finished for New Zealand. If it's getting finished for winter in general, it doesn't even have to be this winter, just winter. Just a winter.
So when does winter end in Finland?
Like April, May.
Oh, you've got plenty of time.
Yeah. Like even in May you will probably have to wear like woolen socks and stuff, so
Mhm.
and you have to start wearing them around October anyway, so
You've got time.
Basically the autumn season, it might as well be winter. Like the autumn in here is a hoax anyway.
That's rude.
Yeah, like seriously, like it's just like rain and slush and then just turns to ice overnight, and then we have snow and suddenly, whoa, you're winter, or
Yeah.
happy November.
We had like 2 days where it felt like proper autumn here, and then it snowed last night. So yeah.
Ramsey's comment, Rhea, not knitting on air is sit and bitch. You are correct.
Yes.
You are correct. I will fully sit and bitch this session.
Yeah, I've been in California the last month and it's been like in the high 60s, low 70s. So it's
Oh.
been like very non-fall like. And then I'm looking back on like what the weather is in Oregon and it's been below freezing. And I'm just like, I know I'm heading back home next week, but like I'm gonna miss this weather.
Yeah, we're getting minus 13 degrees Celsius tomorrow.
What is
So-
minus 13 in Fahrenheit?
Cold.
It's cold, but in Finnish terms, it's like mild
Ooh,
winter weather.
it's about 9 degrees.
Yeah, it's
That's cold.
mild.
That's cool.
We like usually okay. So Helsinki is in the coast, so minus 13 usually feels like minus 15, minus 16 because the like wind coming from the sea, the sea breeze makes it feel a lot colder because it's like humid. I can't wait for when we get the minus 18s, which then will feel like minus 20 and minus 25.
Yeah.
Luckily, I will not be here to experience.
You're going to be living it up on
Yes.
the other hemisphere.
Literally in 4 weeks,
Yeah.
I will be on a plane.
Hello to everybody in chat. I see Joe and Elise are here. Mr. Roar, sorry. Ramsey, Ron. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Sort of short notice.
Also, today we get to talk about media.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
So question, do we want to go around and talk about what we're reading first, or we want to just dive into the media catch-up?
We can talk about reading as well.
Okay.
I've just been reading manga.
Well, that counts.
Yes, yes.
All right. Let's go in reverse order with what we're currently reading or whatever we want to talk about books. So, Diana.
Sure. So I have like unintentionally been doing nonfiction November this month. I've read a bunch of nonfiction and a bunch of it's been pretty good. So I read The 100 Years' War on Palestine, which I really liked. I thought it gave a lot of really good context for what's been happening right now. Yes, Shinhati supremacy. You were correct, Ramsey. Star Wars, we'll be talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Because I couldn't talk about it while the strike was on. So I read 100 Years' War on Palestine. I read, God, where is it? Number Go Up, Inside Crypto's Staggering Wild Rise and Staggering Fall by Zeke Foe. This is like one of 2 crypto downfall books that were published recently. Hi, buddy. Look who's here. Look who's here. He's so cute. And now he doesn't want to talk. Anyway, so it's one of the 2, and the consensus is that it's the better of the 2 because Michael Lewis's book is like, that one was more of going to be like a profile of Sam Bankman-Fried, and I haven't read it, and I don't know if I'm going to read it or not, but apparently you can tell.
Hear more
like
about that guy? I mean,
what?
Are they already writing books about that guy?
Well, so Michael Lewis was apparently like following him around and was like embedded in with him. And it was going to be like a more positive book. And then the downfall happened. And apparently you can see like where that pivot happened.
Okay.
And Michael Lewis and shows up in Number Go Up. And it's like not a very flattering portrait because the author was like, oh, I'm at this crypto thing. I'm trying to figure out like what's going on. And Michael Lewis is interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried. And he's like, I thought that Michael Lewis was being paid to be there because of how like fawning his questions are. And then I found out that he's writing a book and I'm just like, what is going on? So anyway, Number Go Up. And then I read The Salvation Gambit by Emily Skrutsky. This is a new standalone science fiction and it's fine. Like it's a 3-star read. It's like perfectly enjoyable, but it's nothing that I'll really remember. Like if you just want like a perfectly fine science fiction book following some female con artists, it's queer, it's like it meets that criteria, but it's not like the best book I ever read. And then the book that I'm currently reading, which is terrible, is Iron Flame.
Okay, so
Why?
is Iron Flame is like it that's a standalone, right? It's not a sequel to
No,
anything.
it is a sequel to
Sequel
Fourth
to
Wing,
Fourth
which
Wing.
Oh, because I was wondering, is this the sequel to that book?
Yes.
And then I was like, no, it can't be. That came out like that.
This
that
year.
just came out.
This
Yes.
is the problem. This is going to be like a 5-book series, and I guess they're just
they
like
all
running them
going-
out as fast as possible.
Yeah, like that's
publishers
the
do?
model. That's the model that the publisher is going for. Is apparently they want like that indie bingeable read, but the problem is that with TradPub, it's not like in most cases, it's not a feasible timeline. Like there are certain instances where books might be published close together. Like I know that's what's happening with Megan O'Keefe's current sci-fi trilogy, but with that one, she said, I had all 3 books written when I sold the trilogy. Like it wasn't she sold book 1 and was writing book 2 and they have that fast turnaround. She's like, this is really unusual for me, but I wrote all 3 books and sold it as a trilogy, which is why they're coming out like so closely after each other. But even then there was like a year or so lead time between when the books were sold and when they were starting to be published. Whereas that's not the case with the publisher Red Towers books, because like I'm reading Iron Flame and I swear to God, Rebecca Yarros was like looking at reviews, looking at criticisms, and like trying to incorporate that into the book, because there are certain things that like I'm reading it, I'm like, you were unhappy that people were thinking that Violet's mom was the bad guy. And so you're like trying to address that and make her heroic and like non-problematic, or like, anyway, there's like I'm only a third of the way in and it is dragging.
So basically what the Westworld effect, because Westworld was also like when they were making that TV show, they were constantly like, they were not happy that the audience was like puzzling out the plot. So they, in a response to all the like audience engagement of like figuring out how the story was going to be written, tried to write it in a way that it could not be solved by the audience, which is like, not a great way to do it.
No, it's not even that. Like, I think it's more of like she was unhappy that people were like, Violet's like, we keep being told that Violet's so smart, that Violet's so intelligent, but then why is she so uncurious about all these discrepancies that aren't adding up in book 1? And we're starting to get that in Iron Flame, except the problem is that this is stuff that should have been seeded in book 1, but because Rebecca Yarros was more concerned with Violet's tingling scalp whenever the male lead is there. I wish I was joking.
Tingling scalp. You must explain, is this like a magic thing, or is it like...
So apparently I've been spoiled for various things with this, because I'm in Marinessa's Discord and a bunch of people have already read the book and we've just been dragging it. But apparently Zayden, or X, whatever the fuck his name is, we've been calling him like Xbox because his name is dumb. He like not only has shadow magic, because you can't have a romantasy without the male lead having shadow powers.
Of course, some characters might even be called, what's his name, Darkling.
Leigh Bardugo owes us reparations for that, even though in her defense, the Darkling was not supposed to be like the romantic lead.
I know, and he isn't, but at the same time, it's like,
she still owes us reparations.
I still feel like he is the template for a lot of these.
He is.
He's
but
very
anyway,
much
so
template.
Not only does he have shadow powers, but apparently he has a secondary power where he can like read people's intentions towards you, or like read people's minds, which like, moving aside from the privacy violations there, like that's apparently like why her scalp was tingling, was he was reading.
Okay.
It's
okay. So every time her scalp was tingling, someone was reading her mind?
I haven't gone to that part yet, so this is like secondhand. But anyway, it's really bad, like not just on a writing level. Like if I was taking a drink every time there's an unnecessary italicized word in the book, I'd be dead. Like even if it wasn't alcohol, I'd be dead of water poisoning.
It's like the same thing, like for example, when I was reading Wheel of Time, and every time that one girl's like hair is pulled or tugged or something, I swear that if I had a drink every single time, I would have died from some sort of poisoning, water or otherwise.
But anyway, so there's that. And then like the other thing that's just really frustrating for me is like how people are talking about this book, because they're like, oh, it's campy. Oh, it's like a CW show. And first of all, I am so tired of people, like straight people, saying that something is campy, because camp is for the gays. Camp is for the queers. And this book is like the most painfully straight thing I have ever read. Yeah, like even the bi best friend is like a walking bi stereotype.
There's also specific parameters of what makes a thing camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I haven't read these books, but I can tell you they're not camp.
A thing isn't camp just because you say it's camp.
Yeah, so I need the straights to stop calling this camp, because it is not camp. But also the thing is like with CW shows, I need them to specify like what type of CW show, because you have your Legends of Tomorrow, which is like zany and incredibly queer. You have your Riverdale, which is Riverdale, which like even towards the end, like wasn't taking itself seriously. And I think that's part of the problem, is a lot of CW shows, like there's an inherent kind of embracing of the silliness, and that's not what Rebecca Yarros is trying to do with Fourth Wing, because unfortunately I've seen interviews with her and I've read some of her interviews, and she's like trying to be very serious. She's like, oh, it's talking about history and like what's remembered and like what's erased and like who controls history has the power and all. And like, yes, there's dragon, but she's like trying to like be super serious about these themes, and it's like, this is not a CW. This is like someone trying to do Game of Thrones and doing it badly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm very tired of how people are talking about it. And the other thing is too, is like people, I don't get people who rate like popcorn reads like 5 stars, because for me, like the Salvation Gambit was a popcorn read. Like it was something that I enjoyed. I got through quickly, but it wasn't like super memorable. Like I enjoyed it while I was listening to it, but like it's been less than a week and I've already forgotten one of the main characters' names. Like it's a 3-star read. Anyway, Iron Flame and Fourth Wing are terrible. I was living for all the misprints, because
Did you
Red
get
Tower is
too?
I did not. Someone I know sailed the 7 seas, and I got a copy from them. But I was just very amused by it, because someone was calling Red Tower the Shein of publishing, and they're right.
Whoa.
That makes so much sense.
Wow.
Yes, Emma, that is correct. Like because something is bad does not make it camp. It's not operating the level of exaggerated performances and writing to make it camp. Like, yes.
Yes.
Exactly. If it's any consolation to you, Di, I am finding a lot of enjoyment out of your torment of reading these books, because you're reading them, so I don't have to.
Yeah, well, the other thing is too, is I have Red Tower's 2 other books checked out right now, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna, because I have Starbringer, which is supposed to be like science fiction, but apparently it's like super long, and apparently it's like even worse than Fourth Wing.
Different
and
author,
then it's Tracy Wolf and someone else. It's a different author.
Okay.
And then I also have checked out Assistant to the Villain, which started off as a series of TikTok sketches, and is basically, the entire premise is, if villain, why hot?
I have seen
I think I've seen some of
descriptions and
those.
reviews of this book, and every single one of them make it sound like an extremely bad, watered down version of Hench by Natalie Zena Walshots, which I thought was actually a very good book, and I don't need a worse, like, dumbed down version of it, please.
Anyway, it will be very, and I like want someone who works for Red Tower to like spill the beans, because I'm just like, I need to know like what are the like who is making these decisions, because that's the other thing. So Red Tower is owned by Entangled. Red Tower has an editorial director, but if you look at the acknowledgments of the books, she's not listed as an editor. The owner of Entangled is the editor for the Fourth Wing books, for Starbringer, I think for Assistant to the Villain. So like, what is going, like, I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, is it just one person doing the editing?
Editing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we've got some comments to reply to. Kristen, hello, it's been a while. I need to have a very specific rundown of how much yarn did you buy from the Lion Brand sale, and which specific types, and is the sale still ongoing, because I need to get some fisherman's wool. So spill the beans. Also, what are you going to make with it? Or did you just buy it because you could? Which I am also down with.
Yeah, buying yarn is a separate hobby from making stuff out of the yarn.
Buying yarn and buying fiber.
Yes, completely separate hobbies.
Yeah.
Same as with buying books and reading books. Completely separate hobbies from each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Ramsey has also been reading manga. My attention was caught by Apothecary Diaries. That sounds like it might be cute.
It's the Apothecary Diaries. I'm actually watching the anime adaptation that is currently on Crunchyroll.
Everything has an anime.
Yeah, but it's basically medical mysteries. The main character is like an apothecary, and she has built
apothecary or contemporary.
It's a Chinese court drama.
So
essentially, like, she has grown up in a red light district, like a pleasure district, and she gets kidnapped and sold to the palace as a maid, and she gets entangled with this like man in the palace who's basically kind of like overseeing the rear palace where the emperor's concubines live. And she becomes a food taster for one of the emperor's favorite concubine, and has to solve like medical mysteries. And
this sounds more serious than I initially thought.
Yeah, but it's actually pretty funny and lighthearted, and there's also like some sort of romance apparently happening. I haven't read the manga though. I'm interested in picking it up, but the anime has been pretty solid so far. There's like eight episodes or so.
Well, I may look into it. I still need something on Crunchyroll to watch in between Jujutsu Kaisen episodes, so.
There's relatively many shows current. Like I've been watching Apothecary Diaries, Jujutsu Kaisen, and then I've been watching was it Friren's Journey, which is basically about this elf character who, it's kind of a treatise about life and death, about the, like what happens if you defeat kind of the evil lurking in the world, and then you watch your party members basically die of old age because you don't age at the same rate.
Oh wow.
And yeah.
Huh.
And so it's actually been really good. And then another more lighthearted series I'm watching is My Boss is Goofy, which at the same time seems to be sort of like corporate propaganda, kind of like, your manager can be an awesome person, just trust us. Work for this company, make money. Like, we are a family here, but at the same time it's also very lighthearted and nice.
Okay. Becca's here. Hello. Elise has finished the latest Murder Bot. I believe Kelsey will be talking about that. I haven't read it, but I'm looking forward to the non-spoilery discussion. So sounds like it's quite good. And oh, people are talking about Starbringer. Apparently it was terrible.
What is
Yeah,
Starbringer?
I forgot that you read it and that you also read a bunch of it.
A blight.
Blight. Blight is a strong word.
See, this is the one I hadn't even heard of. Like I had
I've never heard of this.
Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Assistant to the Villain. This one hasn't even like made it onto the corner of TikTok I watch where people are bashing these books yet. So,
is it by Tracy Wolff?
Yes, it's co-written by Tracy Wolff and someone else.
Nina Croft. Oh Lord! Oh God!
Are you reading the description?
I'm reading the description.
Aurora Rising meets The Breakfast Club meets Firefly.
Yeah. I was reading that and I was like,
the comps that Red Tower are putting out for their books are like next level deranged.
Okay,
like Assistant to the Villain was The Office meets Once Upon a Time.
I've actually seen The Breakfast Club, oddly enough, and I'm like, what?
Okay, so the synopsis says the sun is dying and it's happening way too damn fast, and that's just okay already. With the clock ticking, the 9 planets' only hope of survival rests on a fancy space station and the alien artifact it's carrying. Fancy, huh? Okay.
Is it meant to be a comedy or is it?
No idea, but this is like, which is why it really sucks when some jackass doesn't want the universe saved and blows that station up while you're still on it. Okay. I'm reading comedy out of this synopsis. Is it, Elise, is it supposed to be a comedy?
Emma, this is the second time I've heard the romantasy label on that genre, and I hate that phrase. Does anybody else feel like
are we going to discuss the Goodreads Choice Awards, though?
I think we should.
I have no idea.
Let's do it after we talk about what people are reading.
Yeah,
let's
okay.
go into Kelsey,
Kelsey should go.
Okay, hold up, because first, before I talk about it, I tried to show this earlier, but I don't think I need a better webcam for these live streams, but I did a sketch of a poinsettia, which means I have committed something to paper, which means I'm committed to doing a Christmas card this year. And I'm done with my craft. This was my craft. I did it. And then before the veterinary crisis started happening, I was actually having an extremely excellent, like, all sci-fi adventure reading month, because I read Ocean's Echo, and then I was like, I'm gonna keep reading some of the books that I started reading but didn't finish during the new release-a-thon. So then I finally read The Warrior's Apprentice by Bujold, and then I jumped back to the present day and I reread Leia. Oh, Smoochie.
She's so chunky.
I reread Network Effect and went straight into System Collapse when that arrived. So I was reading like 3 different sort of space opera adventure light engaging reads from like 3 different authors that all felt like very similar in terms of like what type of science fiction that was, and it was working really well for me. I was going to continue and read Fireborn of Exile next. because then that would just keep me going in the same sort of, same vein. But then I have other things that are actually due back at the library, like tomorrow, that I'm trying to read, but I have no energy for whatsoever. But the Murderbot situation. So first of all, I do want to prepare anyone who hasn't gotten their copy yet. It is physically smaller than Network Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Not just shorter, but the book is physically smaller by just enough to be deeply annoying.
Why can't they make these things all the same size?
And it is like less text per page as well. So, reading these back to back, this does feel like a less substantial book. It does feel like more of just a conclusion of this story arc. And then something that's going to move the story forwards. But this, it finishes up the whole situation with the, disaster, alien contamination, planet situation from Network Effect. And that was the whole part of Network Effect that I had the least memory of the specific details of. So I was very glad that I reread it. And if you, like me, forgot the details of what was going on the disaster alien contamination planet, you too might want to reread Network Effect before.
I don't have any recollection of it whatsoever, so I guess I'm rereading Network Effect.
And the new one is good. I'm happy with it. It's not as good or as much as Network Effect was. So, yeah, it's a 4-star for me. That's my review. It's a sort of smaller story because most of it takes place with a small subset of the characters who are broadly present at this planet situation, in a situation where they are out of contact with the rest of the larger group. System Collapse is technically a novel, I think. I think it's longer than the novellas.
Short novel, though.
It's a short novel. It's not a Network Effect length novel, but it's longer than. See, I'm not sure this needed to be a novel. I think this doesn't feel like it has significantly more story in it than the novellas did, but it takes a lot of setup to get the plot where it needs to be by the end. So it feels a little slow to take off, and maybe it could have been tightened into a novella, but this is a novel. Honestly, I liked System Collapse. I don't have bad things to say about it at all. I think Witch King is my favorite Martha Wells release of the year. I know that's a hot take.
Really enjoyed that, and I like that it was a standalone, but also
I think we might be getting a sequel.
I hope so, because
she has said she is writing a sequel. I don't know if it's been sold to the publisher.
Yeah, I was so attached to the characters in that book. I
am still thinking about those characters.
Yeah,
and this many months later.
Yes.
And so many of those, especially the supporting character story arcs, feel like this was only the beginning, even though the plot of that book wrapped up.
Yeah. Kristen, I assume you mean Witch King was a DNF for you?
Not System Collapse.
Yeah, not System Collapse. I actually found Witch King rather slow to start. Like, I think I read the first 40 or 50 pages and I put it down for about a month. And then when I came back to it and got a little bit further, it just sucked me in. I think I had to get through kind of orienting myself with the way the story was being told in the present and in the past, and there's so many characters and all their relationships with each other and stuff. But yeah, I can absolutely see why somebody would start that book and just not really take off. You know, I don't know how far you got through it, Kristen, but yeah.
But yeah, I was having this sci-fi tacular reading month. And I do, maybe not here, but I do need someone to double check with me about the reading order for the Vorkosigan books, because I'm not really sure.
War Games next.
War Games next?
Yep.
Go by Bujel's recommended reading order. That's
okay, because the recommended reading order has some like short fiction in it that I think is included in later novels, so I can.
Yeah. So Borders of or Mountains of Mourning is like technically between Warrior's Apprentice and the Vor Game.
Right. So I have this book and we'll be reading it later. I don't have to read that now, right?
Yeah. Like the next one, like internal chronological, is the Vor Game.
I have it. I also have Falling Free, which I think I can read at any point.
Yes, it's a prequel. Yeah. It takes place like 200 years before It's also very good.
So I don't know whether this one or Falling Free is the book I'll be reading next. It depends on whether I want sequel or standalone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now, I think I have enough of them now that I will get a good long ways.
Yeah.
In the series before I hit another like gap where I don't have the next book.
Yeah, the only connection between Falling Free and I think it's a later books in the Vorkosigan saga, the Quaddies come up again.
Yeah,
it's not a major link.
Yeah, so Quaddies come up a little bit in Labyrinth and then again in Diplomatic Immunity. So
that's pretty far into this.
Right, and I don't own either of those yet.
Yeah. I read the whole series in the recommended reading order and the novellas and short stories in the recommended reading order, and I thought that was perfect. And I would recommend not skipping the novellas. Number one, they're excellent, but there's, especially the ones that are very specifically about Miles, there's some pretty significant development with his character.
But it's okay to read. If it's in the later book, and it's fine to read the book, it's okay to read it later.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like I do recommend reading it, but so with Borders of Infinity, I'm
not gonna skip things. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally have to read anything twice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just with Borders of Infinity, there's a framing story around the novellas.
I see.
Which is, I don't even remember the framing story. Like, is it even necessary?
It's like a debrief. It's with it takes place after, so the three novellas are Mountains of Mourning, which takes place between Warrior's Apprentice and the Vor Game, Labyrinth, which I think is after the Vor Game, but it's before it might actually be after Setaganda. I think it's after Setaganda.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then Borders of Infinity is also after Setaganda because it's before Mirror Game or Brothers in Arms. It's before one of them.
Okay. If I get confused again, I will ask in the group chat.
This is my personal opinion, but if there's any one book that you want to skip because it's just not necessary, Ethan of Athos.
Oh yeah, I skipped that one.
Just skip. I mean, it's not a bad book. It's just it's kind of like this whole secondary plot without any of the major characters, and I still don't know how I feel about it being like it's basically it's set on a planet where it's only men and they're all gay, and it was written in the 1980s. And it's not. I don't recall anything about it being bad. In fact, I think that at the time that it was written, it was probably
Yeah,
way ahead
probably
of things.
in the 80s, especially like in the context of writing anything gay in the 80s during the middle of the AIDS crisis, it's probably quite a bold move.
Yeah. So, but it was unmemorable. I didn't care about the characters, and it's just like I think a sort of mildly important side character has a little cameo or something in it, and that's it. Like it made no impression on me.
I do have it, so I will probably read it because I have it. But like my entire collection of these books has been based on what I find in like shabby bins of mass market paperbacks at used bookstores and thrift stores. So I have taken years to get to the point where I have enough of them that I can even contemplate like actually doing a
Yeah.
of the series.
Okay, so I just double checked the order, and yeah, so Labyrinth and Borders of Infinity are both after Setaganda.
Setaganda, which I also have.
Yeah, so it's the
That's
Vor
exciting.
game, then so it's the Vor game, Setaganda, then the Borders of Infinity bind up.
So my next three books in the series, I'm gonna pull them off the shelf in order. You said it's
the Vor game.
War game. Here it has a very pale title on the cover, on the spine. I couldn't read it. Borders of Infinity.
Well, Setaganda between the Vor game and Borders of Infinity.
Setaganda, Borders of Infinity. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then Falling Free can happen whenever if I feel like it.
Yeah.
Ron, I totally agree with this. I was recently at Uncle Hugo's, which I think that's still sort of Bujold's hometown bookstore, and they had pretty much nothing of hers. They were all sold out. Anything else, Kelsey?
I think that's my reading situation.
All right.
We can move on.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my reading has been a complete mess the whole year, but I'm currently going through And What Can We Offer You Tonight by Premi Muhammad. I'm about halfway through, very slowly reading it because the writing style is so wordy, like and it feels like my brain needs to like read each sentence like a couple of times before I actually connect with what is being said. And it's actually not because the writing is bad. It's because my brain is like processing issues when it comes to this kind of writing. But it's actually pretty interesting. Like it feels very like the main character is like a courtesan, and it's this kind of like science fiction dystopia, but it feels very almost fantastical in its like setting and the way the setting is described and stuff. So it's like very genre bending, I would say, and it's relatively short. But I've been reading this for like a couple of weeks now, so and I'm only in like chapter 5, so basically one chapter every couple of days, and then I'm still in the middle of Fool's Errand. I have made some more progress in it, and I'm hoping that I could finish it before I actually have to hop on a plane. So fingers crossed for me. And then I finished Witch Hat Atelier, Volume 11, which is excellent. As per usual, Kamame Shirahama is amazing. And this character here is a frigging obnoxious douchebag.
I thought he was supposed to be a good guy, and now I'm like, no.
I never doubted he was supposed to be a good guy. Also, his son is another asshole. Like I'm just like looking at these two people and just like, yeah, like with a father like that, I am not surprised that the son turned out to be a creep as well. So but yeah, Witch
when he was
Atelier is going into interesting directions.
Yeah, when he was first introduced, there was something about the way that he was just drawn. I was like, oh, this is the type of character that we're meant to like really like, and he's the and I was like, oh, okay, guess not.
I even from his design, I was kind of like, okay, this character fits the whole haughty, kind of like arrogant, faux hero type archetype that is very popular in like manga and anime. The kind of like who would be a good character to describe this sort of like he kind of embodies a similar character type that I would actually go so far as to say that like for example, like Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen actually embodies this type of character, like this arrogance, and it can go two ways. It can either be heroic arrogance or it can be kind of like villainous. So it like and with, for example, Gojo, it goes kind of like he's a hero, but he's also kind of like a jerk. Like he could go to a villain with a flip of a switch, basically. So yeah, I wasn't surprised that this character turned out to be this way, but yeah, I'm very interested. One thing that I will say I was not happy about: this volume is significantly shorter than the volumes preceding it.
Well, the previous volume was pretty short too. I noticed that.
Yes, but like, this is like noticeably shorter.
I know.
I was so sad because like it takes ages for these to get translated. So I was kind of like, okay, now I get my Witch Hat Atelier fix, and it was over before I knew it.
I'm assuming the English translations are pretty much caught up with the Japanese.
Yeah.
So it must.
Yeah. Basically the Japanese volumes are just one volume. One volume ahead.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, I think Witch Hat Atelier volume 12 just came out in Japan, or is just coming out in Japan, if I remember correctly. Because I'm also following Kamome Shirahama on social media, so for all the updates. And also because she releases like she recently did a drawing of Kifri and Olruggio and oh my god, I forget the guy's name. The one who is the captain of the Witch Inquisition people.
Oh, I don't remember his name. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the long-haired douchey guy with a stick up his ass. But she drew a picture of all of these guys in yukatas, and Olruggio was wearing Crocs. And I was like, that is such an Olruggio thing to do. Olruggio would totally wear Crocs. He would totally wear Crocs with his yukata. He wouldn't do that. It's great. But yes, that's what I have been reading. If I have time, I'm hoping that I will start this if I have time after I finish some of these, because like I need something good in my life, something
have
wholesome.
Those too. That was what I was gonna read this winter.
Yes, and people have been telling me that this is cozy and nice, and I need something cozy and nice. If nothing else, I could pick this up as an airplane read. So there's that.
You're gonna need some entertainment on those very long flights.
I have 2 back-to-back 9-hour flights.
Oof. Can you take Baldur's Gate with you?
No.
Oh!
See, that's why you invest in a Steam Deck.
But the thing is that, yeah, Baldur's Gate is just gonna have to wait for me when I get back.
Oh, Emma asked the question.
Oh, yeah, have I read Delicious in Dungeon?
Rhea is a Delicious in Dungeon pusher.
I have pushed Dai and Rachel at least. now to read Delicious in Dungeon, and also like I'm putting the
You've been
influencing.
working on me.
Yes, I've been
I'm
working
very
on
excited for
Kelsey.
the anime.
Oh, yes, it's in January on Netflix, the anime adaptation. I can't wait.
Can we watch it together?
We can. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I'm very excited for the anime adaptation. Also,
I will put in my request for volume 2.
I will
I
also
need
need to
to-
check.
I need
which
to see where I am because I paused while I was in California, so I need to see which volume I'm up to.
the latest volume I have, I think, is volume 12. Volume 12 is the most recent that I've read. I actually have to make sure, is volume 13 already out? Let's see. Or when is it coming out? Oh, volume 13 is coming out. Expected publication March 19th, 2024. No.
I thought you'd already read the conclusion.
No, it's not concluded. Volume 12 is the latest English release. And Delicious in Dungeon Volume 13, which is, I guess, going to be volume 13 or volume 14 is gonna be the concluding volume.
Okay.
But it's definitely not gonna continue much further because they are almost done. It's gearing up to finishing. So I think I think at max 3 volumes is how long it's going to take, unless Ryokugui plans to take it on a completely other storyline afterwards. But the way this current one is setting up, like, it can't be any more than 3 volumes at max. So I'm personally expecting it to cap at volume 14, but it could also cap at volume 15 if nothing weird happens. But yes, I am in fact a Delicious in Dungeon evangelist. Yes. Yes.
They're everywhere.
But it's so good. I even have the little companion booklet that's all about just the lore of the world, and I actually nominated it for best related work in the Hugo Awards. Not that it had any shot at getting into the long list even.
Didn't you say
Okay,
it was-
so Rachel,
Oh.
quickly talk about what you've reading so we can transition into Tin Hat theories.
Okay. I have the memory of a fly. So really quickly, what I've been reading recently. Speaking of manga, I read 2 whole omnibus volumes of what's it called? Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko. I can never say that. It's like Yokohama shopping trip or whatever. It's finally being translated to English, and I loved it. It's like this very gentle, quiet, almost like futuristic dystopia where climate change is like eroding most of Japan and there are not many people. And the main character is a robot who
Yes.
runs a coffee shop that nobody comes to.
It's a very cozy series.
It is. I have loved it, and the third omnibus is a little bit different, with people adventuring a little bit more into the world, and I can't wait. I think volume 4 comes out in the spring in English, so I'm really looking forward to that. And right now, my favorite read is The Nobleman's Guide to Seducing a Scoundrel by K.J. Charles. This is part of the duology that began with, oh my gosh.
Country Gentlemen.
Yes. Yeah, the Country Gentleman book, which I loved. Seducing a Scoundrel happens like 13 years later, and one of the main characters was a child in the first book. So it continues the Doomsday family smuggling lore and people inheriting terrible old houses and titles and fighting with their cantankerous relatives and looking for treasure and falling in love and all that stuff. So I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Sounds good.
And next up, I will have to get a move on with some more new releases. I need to read Murderbot. I picked up some stuff at Uncle Hugo's I want to read. I've got the re-release of Shadow Speaker by Nnedi Okorafor. I just need to make time to read things. So, but anyway, enough about me. Which thing do you want to discuss first?
Let's do Hugo's first, and I can save my women's soccer drama and nonsense till the end, because I think Hugo's will be more engaging for all of us.
I have a question about the Hugos, since I have been kind of AWOL from internet and all of the things lately. Thank you, Baldur's Gate. Have the long list and the statistics been...
No.
Okay.
Oh, take it away.
Tinfoil hat.
Okay, I was going to have an actual like fancy tinfoil hat for today, but it did not happen. I apologize profoundly.
Prepare it for December. I bet the saga will continue.
It will continue because right now we aren't expecting these stats to be released until January.
How?
Which is the latest they
I'm
can.
sorry.
To be fair, does anybody actually expect to get the stats at all, considering that January
Is there a betting pool?
They have to, like, it is part of this, like, I think the Constitution bylaws is they have to release the stats in January. Like, the date that was given in January is like the latest they can do it.
So they really are required to release the long list stats.
I mean, yes, I think so. The Hugo, isn't the Hugo like award like the governing body over Hugo Awards, basically, that makes sure that all the rules are followed, etc., etc., etc. Part of the rules is that they need to release the statistics.
I think so. I have not myself laid eyes on the text of these rules, though. So if anyone has
this, I did not realize
confirmation
this
of this.
story. I thought long list stats were just sort of if the convention feels like it. But you're saying no, the stats are actually...
Well, the convention has felt like it for over however many decades. So at this point, feels very weird if they're not gonna do it.
This gets stranger and stranger.
I was very invested in waiting for the release of the stats after this year's Hugo Awards ceremony. So I was like digging online and I saw like everything that went down, and I don't know how much should be shared.
Weren't you in some Facebook group because they weren't announcing anything?
I was stalking the Facebook profile of the one guy whose job it is this year to release the stats or to do the stats. And he, as far as I can tell, just like overcommitted himself and did not plan and like failed to do the job. The tinfoil hat stuff is whether there's anything else going on behind the scenes.
I think there is.
I'm personally more inclined to blame incompetence rather than malfeasance. However, I would not be surprised if there was something else going on behind the scenes, because it doesn't add up to me why this guy feels that he needs so much time to put together this document of information.
Are we tinfoiling?
Given that they have already released the shortlist, which means they must have calculated all of the nominations already to get the shortlist, and B, calculated all of the voting stats in order to get the winners. Like, they have given out the awards. The data should already be there. It should just be plugging it into a publicly presentable document. And I I don't know if whatever has gone wrong behind the scenes has to do with like some incompetent errors or some actual, purposeful attempt to cover something up. We don't know. We're tinfoil hat conspiracy theorizing. But in terms of just the lack of communication, the fact that the only place anyone was getting updates on this was that the one guy, Dave McCarty, was posting on his personal Facebook page. And then at a certain point, he seemed to get really shocked and offended that people were coming to his personal Facebook page to yell at him about it.
I mean, if that's the only place where you're going to be writing about it.
And the amount of like, he starts off with this assumption that the only people who care about this are in his personal acquaintance friend group, or like very, closely, shortly removed, like, and he seems to get like shocked and surprised when people whose usernames he doesn't recognize actually care. And like, that's bad convention planning overall if like you're leaving it to this one guy on his personal Facebook page to communicate this failure. But
is he the only person who has talked about it? Like, is nobody else
Nobody else has talked about it at all. And what he has said is that he was swamped at the convention. It was something he was planning on getting done during the convention, and it turned out that he did not have time at all. He got home
before the convention.
He got home. He was behind on work. Work was very demanding since he'd been away. He was jet lagged. He had kids. It was Halloween.
Okay. Cool.
I just don't know how you can have this done before the convention.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand.
Ron says, yeah, the big conspiracy theory is that they messed up the ranked choice voting and awarded something that shouldn't have actually won.
And like, I do feel for this one guy who is getting like people being was getting,
even if it was just his mistake, which I'm gonna guess it was not, the fact that the convention, the committee is just leaving him out to hang on this.
Yeah,
like,
that's bad.
Yeah, Angela just also put in the chat, I wonder if the short list was wrong and they didn't want us to know. Like, that's my personal conspiracy theory because of how chaotic the nominating, like, as someone who like tried to do it online, couldn't, and had to email in her nominations, like, I think that something happened with the shortlist. I don't know if it was just like technical difficulties. I don't know if they removed people who weren't recusing themselves from the shortlist, because I continue to be shocked that both R.F. Kuang's Babel was not in the best novel, not a best novel nominee, and Jiran Zhao wasn't on the Astounding shortlist, given it was their second year of eligibility.
And I think it has been confirmed that Kuang didn't
recuse.
Decline. Yeah.
I don't know if it's been like confirmed. I did see the tweets from the editor of that book where that person seemed to be operating on the belief that she had not turned down a nomination, but I haven't heard anything. I don't think there's been anything from R.F. Kuang.
So basically,
directly on that.
So basically, there's like three theories. Like, the thing that they got the shortlist wrong because of the dodgy voting, the thing that they got the ranked voting wrong because, again, dodgy everything, and then another thing is that that they might not want to show in the like statistics how many people might or might not have recused themselves from the nomination in general.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
all
I don't
three
know.
of these could also be like, there's a fourth option. All three
Right.
apply.
Any combination of those things.
Yes.
Because this should not be hard if you have already announced the shortlist and awarded the awards. Like the release of the statistics should not be a difficult thing that's making you so stressed out that you lash out at the person who asks you to name a date and give like the last possible date in January.
I mean, yes, Ron, you could be right. The guy could just be on a procrastination spiral.
He could be.
And,
This is also possible.
and the public whiplash, let's say the public backlash might not be helping it.
Right. The public backlash might be making it worse. Yeah. I do feel for the guy in some ways.
But at the same time, like, there's a reason why the long list statistics usually get published like max 2 hours after the award show, because usually they're done by the time they award the awards.
So my first Worldcon was San Jose. Am I misremembering that we walked out of that theater and they had physical printouts?
That was the "here's your nerd stats" on Twitter post, and everybody was pulling up the PDF as they were walking out of the award ceremony room.
Yes. I remember when we were we in Dublin or... But I remember Elizabeth coming running from somewhere and telling you, Rachel, that you were on the long list.
Well, we hadn't left the center yet.
Yeah. We were walking out of the audience of the thing.
So we knew who had been longlisted at that point. And I mean, I was sitting on the train or whatever back to the hotel area with Paul going over the PDF. So yeah, it came out really quickly.
Yeah, and Chicago's came out.
Question here in the chat: does the city bureaucracy have much oversight when it comes to Worldcon? And normally, when it's held in like a democracy, no. Like when it's held in an American city or like a European city, there's no even like local.
So I can speak only from like what I know, for example, from Finnish Con organizing and how Worldcon was organized in Finland. So Worldcon received government grants for budget from the Finnish government, and there was some cooperation with, for example, the Helsinki Metropolitan Public Transport. So every single Worldcon goer basically got like a 3-day pass for public transportation in the Helsinki. So in those kinds of things, in some cases, city ordinances may have involvement with the convention if the convention organizers try to cooperate and like form some kind of like business relationship with the city ordinances.
But in terms
that's not
of what's
mandatory.
going on, what happened with the Chengdu convention, my understanding was that the entire like city government was very involved with promoting this convention. And the construction of this new venue that was to be used for the convention. Like seeing all of that is very shocking and surprising.
Has anyone seen any pictures of the con?
Yes. I mean, it looked like it was a beautiful venue. It looked like it was more or less run fairly smoothly. It seemed like people had a good time. But it didn't necessarily look like a normal Worldcon, you know? It looked like a more officially organized event.
Okay. Because I have not really heard a lot of people even talking about it, aside from like File 770.
I know I haven't even seen any of that stuff percolating into my world. Maybe it's because I've been off of like Twitter so much or something, but the complete lack of chatter during the convention and recaps afterwards, like I've seen pictures from people who were at like Nicholas White, for example, posted pictures from the convention, but he was having difficulty getting stuff out there while he was in China.
I feel like also a lot of the usual fan writers and stuff have not been covering the convention as much, possibly because a lot of them did not attend it physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the tinfoil portion. Do we have other tinfoil stuff?
Joe last. That's my prediction.
Kristen, Twitter has died in the past year. Not just book Twitter, just Twitter in general.
I will say women's soccer Twitter is still going decently strong. And if people want, I can talk about my Roman Empire, like my current Roman Empire, which is like...
Go ahead.
Okay. So this happened like right when the last Stitch and Bitch happened, so I wasn't there, and it's escalated since then. So there are 3 key players in this drama. The first is Ali Krieger. She's a former U.S. Women's National Team member. She most recently played for Gotham FC, the New York team. She retired from her pro career this year. Ashlyn Harris, another former U.S. Women's National Team player. She's was a goalie. Her claim to fame is winning 2 World Cup titles without playing a single minute. And she's not as good as she thinks she is. And Sophia Bush, most well known for her role on One Tree Hill.
This drama. I know
what?
about this drama. Yes. Let's go.
So
I have no idea what's coming.
Okay. So Ashlyn Harris and Ali Krieger have been together forever. Like even before they were officially out, there were always rumors of them dating. Their portmanteau name was Crashland, which is a dumb name. Anyway, and so they came out officially and they got married in 2019. They've adopted 2 kids. And they moved from, because they were originally at the Washington, the DC area team. They moved to Orlando, and then they moved to Gotham. Ashlyn Harris retired at the end of the 2022 season. And in March, Ali Krieger announced that she is retiring at the end of the 2023 season. So over the summer, people start noticing that they are not really appearing in their Instagram stories, in like anything together. There might be some SpawnCon, but for the most part, there's like no new pictures, no new stories. And people are like, okay, what's going on? This is super weird. And over the summer, Ashlyn Harris had gone to cons for like this sports summit with Sophia Bush, who is an investor in the Los Angeles Women's soccer team, and Sue Bird, who is a retired basketball player and the fiance of Megan Rapinoe, who's besties with both Ali Krieger and Ashlyn Harris. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
So people are like, okay, so did something happen over the summer? Like, what's going on? And people are like, no one is a detective like women's soccer fans are detectives, because like people were just like looking over, seeing things. Like there was an event in September that both Ashlyn Harris and Ali Krieger were at, and there were no photos of them together. And there were also no photos of Ashlyn Harris with any of her former teammates. And people were like, okay, something definitely happened. So right before Ali Krieger's retirement game, her last regular season home game, news leaks to People magazine that Ashlyn Harris filed for divorce in September, citing not even irrevocable differences. It was like they're irreconcilable or something like that. And so and Ali Krieger had been scheduled to do a press conference talking about her last game, and Gotham was like trying to get into the playoffs, and that press conference gets canceled. And some people are like, oh my God, those fans they're like just trying to dig up dirt on them because court filings in Florida are all public. That's why you have like the Florida man, because people can look up these arrest records. But some other folks were like, okay, but this is in People magazine. Like this had to have been a leak. And given the sources that they're citing, we're pretty sure it's from Ashlyn's camp. And then that weekend, one of Ali Krieger's teammates, Mana Shem, starts liking shady tweets about Ashlyn. And people are like,
What?
and people start thinking back over the summer and like, well, Ashlyn was like getting really close with Sophia Bush. And last weekend was Megan Rapinoe's retirement game in Seattle that Ashlyn Harris was at with Sophia Bush.
This one I know. This one I saw the pictures from, and I saw the drama.
And people
related
also
to this
started
specific event.
looking. People started like full-on body language readers here. People started looking at a video of Ashlyn and Sophia with Megan Rapinoe, and Megan Rapinoe is just like standing up pretty stiff. She's looking like kind of like low-key furious, and she says something to Sophia Bush, and Ashlyn just like comes in and is like, "What did you just say?" And Megan is just like, she looked super pissed. And then so Ali Krieger's retirement game happens. Gotham ties. They get into the playoffs. Megan Rapinoe shows up at the party. She like flies in from Chicago to like hang with Ali Krieger. And then Monday, People Magazine drops the article that Sophia Bush and Ashlyn Harris are together, but they only started getting together in the last few weeks, and a lot of people are calling bullshit on it. And then Ali Krieger posts a photo of her saying, like, getting ready for playoffs in my Beyonce Lemonade era, which then leads everyone to be like, oh, Ashlyn did cheat, because Lemonade is an album all about Jay-Z cheating on Beyonce. And former teammates start commenting on Ali's photo, being like, oh, or like, you get him, Ali, like, just like really encouraging. What were you going to say, Rhea?
I was also going to say that the juicy aspect is also that Sophia Bush was still married to her husband as well. So it's a double whammy of like horribleness.
Oh, and then during all of this, so Ashlyn Harris had taken out proud wife from her bio. She also took out proud mom.
No. Oh.
Which she only added back in like after she was shamed for it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's terrible. That's awful.
Yeah, so
that's Lord.
So it's, and like Ali Krieger has been dead silent during this whole thing, like aside from the Lemonade comment, and basically like during because Gotham ended up winning the championship. But aside from like some interviews where she's just saying, you know, like this season like was really hard, just like, you know, parenting 2 toddlers, what's been going on in my personal life, my dad's in hospice, like she like has not talked about it a lot. She's been keeping quiet. And people are just like still really mad at Ashlyn Harris. And so then last week she posts a 6-slide Instagram notes apology.
Oh,
it's not even an apology. It's not even an apology. It's just, oh God, someone like summed it up. Let me see if I can find it, because it was really funny. But it's because she had like launched like a jewelry collection, and people it's also really ugly jewelry collection. And one of the things like this, like one of the too long don't read is like, you dykes betrayed me. She's like, that legacy has mattered. I've spent my whole career trying to build an inclusive space where people can show up as themselves and where they know they will be safe. That legacy has mattered to me more than anything I ever did on the pitch. And it feels like the entire community has poured gasoline on me and lit the matches. And it's like, okay.
That's not an apology though.
No. Anyway, also, it was just
also
anyway, it's like we still haven't gotten like full. Ali Krieger again is staying silent. She's living her best life right now, which good for her. But yeah, Ashlyn Harris, I think, expected the announcement of her dating Sophia Bush to go over much better than it did, and I think she didn't realize just how much a lot of people were kind of tolerating her because they liked her wife better.
Also, Elise, I also only had the context of like the whole meet between Megan Rapinoe and Sophia Bush and Ashlyn at Megan Rapinoe's retirement game, and that's the only context I ever had to this whole thing. So it's very funny to hear the entirety of the thing. Also sad.
I had heard none of this.
See,
Yeah.
like the whole thing is, I had people at my work talk about these things because there are a number of people who watch the One Tree Hill series, and they knew Sophia Bush from that, and then they were like, "Did you know?" Like, and we're discussing the drama, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like the different niche audiences just like connecting.
Well,
over
and like
shared
with Sophia
drama.
Bush, it was very like I saw some people be like, Sophia Bush is queer, but at what cost?
Yes. Oh God.
Yeah. So
Ah.
anyway, it will be like I hope Alec Krieger like continues to have like good supports in her life. Like she seems to have a good group of friends around her. Like she was hanging with Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird recently, just like having a chill night. So I hope things go well for her.
Can I talk about drama next?
Yes.
Yes.
So, as many of you may know, I have been watching Jujutsu Kaisen, the anime, and also Chainsaw Man, and pretty much a lot of stuff that Mappa produces. And at this point, I can't in good conscience talk about any Mappa animated show without going over the basically indentured servitude that the animators in that studio are currently enduring. And at this moment, basically because their CEO is like chasing growth at every opportunity. So Mappa is basically taking on projects and scheduling these projects on a time frame that is absolutely not feasible. Like, for example, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, the movie, was completed in 4 months. Whereas usually an animated feature film of that length, like 1.5 hours, or like Jujutsu Kaisen is like 1 hour and 44 minutes, usually that kind of projects gets completed in 1 to 2 years. Even 3 years if they're like take like for example Makoto Shinkai's movies, usually they have like 2 to 3 years between them if he jumps to a project immediately after the previous one. Jujutsu Kaisen movie was completed in 4 months. And currently the second season is airing, and episodes are being completed up to 2 hours from airing time. So there's like horrible crunch happening at the studio, and it's imploding. Like veteran animators from different studios are calling the Mappa animators to go on strike. So some of the projects may not be happening because of this if they actually decide to go on strike and unionize. Yes, Ramsey. Yeah, Across the Spider-Verse had similar thing. But yeah, Mappa is indeed a sweatshop. There have been like situations where the animators are forced to sign like pretty specific like NDAs that they're not allowed to talk about the working conditions at the studio.
Jesus.
Recently it has gotten so bad, especially with the latest episodes and stuff, where fans of the episodes or fans of the series were sending death threats to specific animators because the animation was not on par of the usual quality of what they are usually expecting from these series. And the reason why the animation is not up to usual quality, as if non-animators like as if they can know what actual quality is in that sense, because like they can, like if they're not animators, they do not know the full extent of what goes into animating the thing. You can only see visually like, okay, this looks right or wrong or whatever. Anyway, point being that for example, the not this most recent episode, but the one before, there was a fight scene in this episode that lasted almost the whole episode, and it was only 30% completed according to the main animator of that fight scene. And it was aired 30% completed. And people are calling it peak animation, and also at the same time that it also looked unfinished. And I can also say that as a person who's watched the entirety of the show from season 1, etc., it does look very different, especially in the middle of like all of the episodes, like before and after, that it looks very different stylistically, and also in terms of like how different effects are. Like it does look a little unfinished. It still looks good though. But the whole thing is that these animators are being worked to the bone. Like some of them haven't seen their families for like months because they can't, because they have to work in such a tight schedule that they can't go home.
Jesus.
Yes.
Is that legal?
Unfortunately, it's so Japanese working culture, from what I understand, is like there are worker protections, but the problem is that like Mappa is famous for union busting, first of all. So the animators can't really like effectively push for changes. And second of all is that the culture essentially is about prioritizing work over your like private life. So it's like if you have a job, you go do your job and you don't complain about it. That's basically the culture. Yeah, Zom 100 is a parody of that kind of workplace culture. That's actually a very good anime, and that also went on hiatus specifically because they wanted to avoid crunch and let their animators actually rest in between production. So the season was cut short a little bit because they wanted to avoid crunch. So now they're actually struggling to get new air dates for the rest of the episodes, from what I understand. So yeah, that's the situation with Mappa, and I'm kind of livid because at the same time, like they keep making some of my favorite shows and adapting them, mostly because the CEO is just grabbing every single damn project that they can get their hands on because they want to chase these like expedient growth. But at the same time, it feels like this is the kind of feeling where now that I watch a Mappa animated show, I'm kind of like thinking that I'm participating in something like morally reprehensible.
Uh-huh.
And it's like it's hard to enjoy the work, because at the back of my mind I'm thinking like, oh yes, all the team that animated this are basically like experiencing complete burnout and like it's not good. And I sincerely hope that they do manage to unionize with the help of all the like, because there's been like a call from like the veteran like animators in the industry, like from like I know that Studio Trigger at least, and Wit Studio, and all of these like different like studio like veteran animators, head animators in those studios, like went to Twitter to like demand that these people like go on strike, like just leave the studio basically. So yeah, it's very. I was actually like very surprised that this week's episode got aired at all, because everything went down like 2 weeks ago or so, and I was kind of thinking like, okay, this is it. Like we're not gonna even see the rest of the season. So
I
yeah,
haven't watched the latest episode, but that explains the comments on Crunchyroll, which I didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on.
Yep, that's it. Rachel, also the latest episode, I watched it, and you will be depressed.
Wait, more so than the other
Yes.
one?
Yes. Just brace yourself. The Depresso train is like we're aboard. It's not good. It's just like,
Does this involve one of my favorite characters dying again or something? Yeah. No,
I
Ramsey,
will say
haven't
nothing.
read the manga. I rely on Rhea to foreshadow everything, so I know to be emotionally prepared.
So I have read the manga. I'm pretty much up to date on the latest chapters. Let's not talk about how, but like my take on it is that Jujutsu Kaisen anime is better than the manga. Like I like the manga, but I think the adaptation does better at showing how things work rather than what Gege does is that over explaining on page. Like I don't have time to read a bloody essay about Gojo's technique, Gege. Like seriously. Like you need a PhD in physics to understand some of that stuff, and the anime kind of shows and explains it in a more ADHD friendly way. So I kind of
Even so, in the anime, there's a lot of let's just pause the entire story to look at pretty pictures while we explain technique, and I'm like,
yes,
just
and
show
it's
me
still
the fight scene.
yes, and it is still better than what the manga does with it.
Yeah.
And especially jarring if you read like Chainsaw Man and you read Jujutsu Kaisen, because Fujimoto's technique with story is basically that if he can't explain it in 2 or 3 sentences, the concept isn't worth exploring. So it's like two completely opposite like ways of telling a story. Like one is like, okay, this is exposition central, and the other one is like, okay, show don't tell all the way. But yeah,
Well,
that's the Mappa drama.
I will be thinking about that every time I watch an episode now.
Yeah, and it's awful because they animate so many of the current like hyped shows. Like they
Well,
animate
that's
Chainsaw Man. They're responsible for like the latest season of Attack on Titan. Then there's Jujutsu Kaisen. The Hell's Paradise they recently did. Next year they're supposed to start on One Punch Man. The next season.
Your mention of Attack on Titan reminds me that I had prepared for today a like top 4 favorite SFF figure skating programs of the year so far.
Oh, there's Attack on Titan in there?
There is.
Oh, let's go. I like opportune transitions to next topics. Let's go, Kelsey.
I was going to go in order from like I was like, do I do top 3 or do I do top 5? But I really have a top 4 right now. So the Attack on Titan was going to be somewhere in the middle, but we'll start with Kaomura. This Japanese boy skated his free program last year to Beauty and the Beast. This year, he's doing Attack on Titan, so clearly he's a fanboy, and I appreciate that. I hope no one ever convinces him that he has to skate to serious music to be taken seriously, because this is great. He is not like the sophisticated, artistic, skater that some of the other Japanese men are right now, but he like commits to this Attack on Titan program with so much passion that you can tell he must like really, really love Attack on Titan.
It's having fun. That's what I want to know.
He's
it's like
clearly having fun.
All right.
I need to go and see this program now. Like after this, I'm gonna Google YouTube. I'm gonna search
like
YouTube
the
for
music
this program.
selection is genuinely like, I have never watched Attack on Titan. I don't know anything about it, but it's like a very exciting, varied, thrilling musical selection, musical cut for this program. And I'm always just happy to see someone doing like a fanish program that they're really enjoying,
So
and
it's Kaomura, right? Who does
yes.
the Men Free Skating Skate Canada 2023?
Yeah.
Okay. Found it. I'm gonna watch it afterwards.
I don't remember which of his 2 Grand Prix events this year he did better at, so I don't know exactly like which event I should recommend you watch, but yeah, that's the one. Going back down to my 4th place SFF figure skating program of the year, the Canadian ice dance team, whose name I am forgetting. Okay, so this is Marie Jade Loriot and Roman Lagac, a Canadian ice dance team who were not really on my radar prior to this season because they are not like one of the top 3 ice dance teams in Canada right now. Ice dance in Canada is a very, very deep field, and they're far enough down that like one wouldn't be expecting to see them at Worlds this year, for example. However, I will forever know who they are now because they are the team that is doing the Corpse Bride for their free dance.
Oh,
And it is so much fun. They have
well, I'm gonna look for that as well.
had a really unfortunate mistake on the Twizzles at NHK Trophy this weekend. She fell, but I didn't care because this program has such, interesting choreography. Again, like I felt like it was a great musical selection for something that's not often used for skating, and her costume is like all out with the makeup and the dress. It's great. So I will now remember who this team is because I will always remember that they are the team that did the Corpse Bride. Heading up my list to like, I guess, number 2 would be Shoma Uno's short program this year. So not the free skate, the short program. He is doing a program that I think most skating fans would think of as just like a slightly odd Claire de Lune program, but it is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh,
That movie does use Claire de Lune, which is a very famous classical piece. And he's using it along with the I love you, I love you, I love you piece. And it's, again, just like a very interesting, unusual choice for like what to do. Like Claire de Lune is not an unusual choice, but doing the Everything Everywhere All at Once version of it is a little bit. And
that's so cool,
he's
though.
getting better artistically every year.
I honestly love that, like, especially with the because the new generation of skaters, like, I love that a bunch of these nerds are just coming up and like doing stuff.
And the way
there's
he's
also,
doing
like,
it,
for
you
example,
wouldn't necessarily think this is a fandom program or this is an Everything Everywhere All at Once program.
Yeah.
He's doing like a very, like the other two are like, yes, we are fans of these properties, whereas this is like, if I hadn't thought, like, where have I heard this I love you thing before? What is this music? I wouldn't have put it together that this was an Everything Everywhere All at Once program.
There's also like previously, for example, well, obviously Yuzuru Hanyu famously skated to Yuri on Ice, and then there's that Russian figure skater in the women's series that I am totally blanking on her name, that is like professed fan of Sailor Moon and has done multiple Sailor Moon related programs.
Yeah, but these have been, I think, show programs, not competitive programs. Like it's Evgenia Medvedeva who does Sailor Moon as a show program, right?
Yeah.
And like we've always seen these things in show programs. I think we're seeing more and more of it in actual competitive programs where the technical content is all there.
Yeah, so it's a victory for the nerds.
It's a victory for the nerds, yes. My number 1 SFF skating program this year, though, is oddly enough in the pairs event, because the pairs discipline is still a disaster, like post-Olympics retirements and post-Russians being banned. Like there is not depth or quality in the pairs field worldwide, minus Russia right now. And so like I would not recommend watching any pairs event in its entirety unless you like have a taste for really scary lift fails, which I do not. However, the Canadian pair of Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps are looking really good this year. They are a very sort of exciting personal interest story because she is, I think, 40 years old. She was a successful single skater in juniors, but wasn't successful single skater in seniors. She retired for 16 years. She came back out of retirement after all that time to do pairs, and this is her second pairs partner. Again, she is 40 years old and finally is having huge success, winning medals. They might win worlds this year.
Wow.
Their free skate is Interview with a Vampire. And it is
Kelsey, I'm gonna need the written forms of these people's names so that I can make my search as accurate as
compile
possible.
some links, and then maybe Rachel, you can put the links in the
Yes,
description
yes.
at a
I
later
also
time.
want links.
Yes.
Okay, she is fierce. They are going all out with this vampire thing. She's got blood and jewels coming down her costume.
Is she the vampire?
They are, I think. Well, they do this bit partway through.
Are they Louis and Lestat or Louis and Claudia?
I think they're going in a little bit more of a just we're vampires direction with this music, as opposed to we're actually conveying the story of Interview with the Vampire. But they do this bit partway through the program where she bites his neck and rips open his shirt, and then he has blood. And
I need to see this.
I need to see this.
She is so fierce and so wonderful.
And this is part of a competitive program.
Yes. And there are two relatively high-ranking skating pairs doing vampire programs this year, because I think one of the Italian pairs is doing a Dracula program, and I pity them because they at one of their events had to go back to back.
Oh no!
With Stellato-Dudek and Deschamps doing Interview with the Vampire, and theirs is just a very underwhelming vampire program.
I need to see this.
Yeah.
I'm especially interested in this Interview with the Vampire thing and the Attack on Titan, which I think I found the Attack on Titan actually now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will put together some links at a later point.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
There may be better video of these programs available outside of the US because NBC has the rights to all the figure skating in the US, and they live stream it on Peacock, and then they delete the replays, and they don't post clips anywhere, and then all the official videos from the ISU have to be blocked, so it's gone forever after the event, and it sucks. So if you're looking for these programs outside the US, you may actually be able to find official video, whereas for most of them, I will not be sharing official video.
Can I quickly talk? I know that we're coming up on time, but can I quickly go over my updates on the Quest to Romance Aster?
Yeah, and I believe we had Goodreads Choice Awards to talk about too.
Oh,
yes.
And I think we have not talked about any previously struck media yet, even though
we have not talked about
theoretically
anything.
have a backlog of it.
We have a lot of
we could also save Goodreads Choice for December, because I think by the time we talk in December, they'll be wrapping up.
Yeah, I was under the impression that we're going to do December 9th, was it?
Yeah.
December 10th.
We'll be back pretty fast.
Yeah, 10th. Was meant to say 10th. In any case, the Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm playing, I'm still not out of Act 1, by the way. I have 3 concurrent saves back like adjacent to each other because I'm romancing different characters in different saves. But my main save is trying to romance Astarion. And fun fact, I had to completely restart the save because of a bug I experienced in Halsin's questline that prevented me from recruiting Halsin to my camp. So I had to restart the entire save and do the whole damn goblin like Temple of Saloon part all over again, and that was tedious because there are tens and tens of those goblins, and it took forever to kill them all. Anyway, but the thing is that I'm happy to share with you that in the first save that I had, Astarion rejected me very profusely. He said that he has standards.
You did get to the Night of Passion though.
No, that's in my new save.
Oh,
I got into the Night of Passion in my new save.
Oh.
In the first one, I managed to thoroughly make some choices where he disapproved a lot of my choices that I was making. And then when we got to the whole party thing and Night of Passion stuff, and what was it that he said that he wanted to have sex, and I was like, oh, and then he was like, not with you, ew. And that's his like line.
No,
Not with you.
God.
To be fair. And then the other one was that when he says that it's not you, darling, it's me. I have standards. And I'm just like roasting on the inside, like you don't have to cut so deep, bro. You can just say like okay. But yeah, in this new save, I did manage to woo him over, and my character and him, he did share a Night of Passion, and are now apparently going steady, so to speak. But the thing is, this upset Gale.
I knew that was coming.
Gale, who basically has been making puppy eyes at my character ever since I agreed to like do a bit of magic trickery with him. He took that as a sign of romantic interest, even though there was clearly nothing romantic in the scenario, and my character made it completely clear that this was just a platonic thing, but Gale sort of just took and ran with it. And then when I finally like got together with Astarion, he was kind of he got pissed about it and made very snarky comments about my taste in men.
Can you get Astarion to kill him?
I don't think so, because like we're in the same party, but Astarion does say that out of any character he refuses to get into a threesome with Gale.
Can you do official threesomes in Baldur's Gate?
You can if you romance Halsin. Halsin is very good golden retriever, polyamory, open relationship with excellent communication type of guy. So if you are romancing someone else and Halsin takes an interest in you, he will then say that, hey, I know you are like seeing this other person, but I think that it would be like, I'm very interested in you, and if it's all right with this other person, I think we could all kind of like date each other, or I could date you. And then you can talk it out and you can become a throuple, like a polyamorous throuple. Yes, with Halsin. I don't think you can do that with other characters though. And also there is like there is some limitations in like, for example, I know that Astarion, basically you can form a throuple with Astarion and Halsin, but it is implied that Astarion does not necessarily actually want to be in that throuple. Like he just kind of goes along with it because you agree, like because you want it. So now I'm kind of like, I don't want to break his heart.
I feel like that's gonna dash the dreams of
Yeah,
so many people playing this game who are like, oh, but I want both.
Yeah, exactly. That's why even I got into that whole thing where I was like, okay, I'm gonna throuple Halsin and Astarion, and then I realized that the whole like Asterian's storyline is basically all about him like being the person that gets chosen, like kind of this idea that like he's a survivor of SA among other things. And it's very much about like his whole journey in the game is kind of coming over his trauma, and also like a huge plot point of his like your like romance with him is the idea that like you both actually love each other and you choose him, and you know, so kind of like you going with other people, kind of it basically like you are inflicting wounds on him that the whole game is trying to address. So it's kind of like once I found out about that, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to break his heart.
I want to romance. I mean, I haven't started yet because I'm waiting for a sale, but like, I want to romance Karluk. I want to romance the big buff tiefling.
Oh, I want to romance everybody. But I'm also like, after I play my save with the Tav character, and then I probably will try and play the Dark Urge playthrough, and then maybe go in with the origin characters, because if I can throuple Astarion and Halsin together with my Tav character, then I can play as Astarion and romance Halsin. Yes. Yes.
How many hours of gaming does this take?
Let's put it this way. I'm clocking in around 100 hours at this moment, and I have not finished Act 1.
How many acts are there?
There are 3 acts.
Ooh! So another 200 hours to go?
About thereabouts. Yes. And then the other playthroughs for the other type of content, because you have these, you can play as the origin characters, which are the party members that you can collect. Then you can play as like basically your avatar, and then there's the kind of Dark Urge version that takes a little bit of a different spin on it. And then if you want to go by D&D rules and play as all of the different alignments, like lawful neutral, lawful good, all of those, you have so much potential for different playthroughs.
Woo!
And also different character classes, because you can get different reactions based on what character class you're playing as well. So ask me again next year. This is my new Hades.
I mean, at least you're playing a new game, unlike me, who's on her. Let's not talk about how many it's been playthrough of Mass Effect.
Hey, that's okay. We do not talk about how many playthroughs I have of Hades since I started playing it.
I'm like trying something different this run, and I'm like trying to stick with the Caden romance. So I didn't romance Garrus in Mass Effect 2, and it's a really hard time for me right now. So
I like that Joe was saying this time next year Rhea will be talking about their 1,000+ hours. I sincerely hope that I will have at least finished my first save of the game next year. I am personally victimized by the fact that I work full time and therefore cannot dedicate as many hours in the week as I would like to this game.
I feel like most of us are victimized in that way.
Right. I'm taking off 3 weeks for the holidays, and I'm so excited.
Oh my god!
Same.
How are you managing
Same.
that? Oh.
I banked a lot of vacation by accident during COVID, and I like hadn't gone through it. And I decided just kind of fuck it. Let's do it and be legends.
You must have a really good rollover policy.
I have a cap. Like my vacation caps I think at like 260 hours, but it all rolls over.
Oh my god, I wish I lived your life.
I'm a state employee, and they pay us in benefits, not actual salary. So,
this is probably not the time where I probably shouldn't mention that I accumulate like 2.5 vacation days per month.
Mine is I get 15 hours a month.
I'm so sad.
Like I'm going on like what? I have 4 weeks of paid vacation coming up. But it also came at the cost of my vacation time this year because I only got 2 weeks of vacation this year because I basically put all of my vacation time to January. And it's starting to feel like it.
I probably won't be able to do something like this for a while, but like, I don't know, it'll be good to just have 3 weeks where I don't have anything.
I wouldn't complain too much, but like the next 2 years, I've got 2-week vacations planned for Worldcon stuff, and that eats up a lot of my annual vacation time. And then I'm like, I can't take vacation for half the year.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like after this year, I did make a promise to myself that I will not do the whole vacation lottery again, and I will actually have the two weeks in summertime, which are probably gonna be for Worldcon.
So I just did my so I get like 4.5 weeks of vacation every year. So I normally use most of it around the holidays, but I also try to do like a week of vacation around my birthday. And then I'm also doing in May this year, we're going to Disney World for a family vacation. So I'll be using time for that as well.
Yeah, I get 4 weeks. So
I think we get like 5 weeks per year. So basically it's like you would get like 4 weeks of summer vacation and then like a winter break, but you can basically allocate the vacation time however you please during the vacation period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This reminds me we need to start planning for Glasgow.
Yes.
I am sad that I'm not going, but also my dossier is literally due like 2 weeks after Glasgow, and I will be a bundle of stress and hate, and you don't deserve that.
I don't know. I'm still on board with convincing you to go.
I like
at the same time, I don't want Di to die of stress, but at the same time I would want her to be with us.
Yeah, like
it's a conflicted situation.
Well, and also I bought tickets to see Olivia Rodrigo then because she's playing in Oregon on my birthday, and I'm gonna go see her for my birthday present to myself.
Nice.
I do want to see if I can find some. Well, I know I can, but make some time for finding some good whiskey in Scotland.
Yeah. But I will for sure be doing Seattle Worldcon because that's just a short train ride / drive up the highway.
Oh, I've already planned for Seattle.
Absolutely, yes.
Seattle did they officially now are they got voted in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they did not have any competition anyway, so.
Well, so I will say I was looking at where Seattle Worldcon is being held, and it is a few blocks away from a cat cafe. So we can do a little field trip to see the kitties.
Yes.
They have a cat named Elvira, and she's the Mistress of the Dark.
This is not a cat cafe, right?
Yes.
I have wanted to go ever since I learned about them, but I still have not.
Mistress of the Dark. That's so cute.
They make incredible viral TikToks.
I follow them on Instagram.
I need this. So. I need this. Yes. Thank you.
Every October
they're also on
is
Instagram.
Elvira season. They have to pay for whims or else be cursed.
Do we want to do we want to finish today's live show and talk about all of the things next time?
Yes, yeah. So we have crossed the 2-hour marks. We should probably wind down and get Rhea off to bed.
Yes, it is 11.
Yes.
PM.
And we will have plenty to talk about in the next live show, which is coming up very soon. We'll be doing a very early December live show on the 10th, and pretty sure that
will be on my channel.
It'll be on Di's channel. So come back then. For Goodreads Choice Awards, I'll have to get up to date on this. I have no idea what's going on. And, you know.
We can talk about media because Ramsey is speaking my language and wanting to talk
we
about Ahsoka.
we did get a Star Wars drama update, so that will be next time. And
and I can talk about The Boy and the Heron, which I saw just
You did-
we don't get it until next week, I think.
I've seen it now. I also finally saw Suzume. So now I have context with the whole guy turns into a chair and the girl sits on him.
We can discuss that.
Okay, I think we're going to end on that note.
We cannot top that.
Okay. Do we want to just sign off now, or do we want to do the whole coming up next? I mean, we just did a coming up next.
Coming up next Stitch and Bitch on the 10th.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Maybe I'll have finished Iron Flame and I can do a full report.
Oh yeah. So
and also lots of good wishes for Jamie.
Show.
Yeah.
He turns into a chair and then she sits on him. Okay.
Yes, and it was surprisingly wholesome and romantic.
Yes.
Yes, it was done in good taste. I was expecting the worst, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually beautiful." I can't believe I'm saying that.
I did try to tell you.
I know.
Okay, we're gonna sign off on that. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us this month. We'll be back in a week or two-ish. Y'all know where to find us. There are links in the description if you don't remember. And bye.
Bye.